Minecraft is a game that is played by a huge number of people. A large proportion of those people are going to be under the age of 16. Now, I'm about to make a bit of a bold statement here, so prepare yourselves for it, but I would say that Minecraft is one of the best games that young people can be playing because it teaches you a whole ton of different essential life skills. Now, I feel like it would be a little bit daft of me as someone who builds a lot of redstone contraptions to not start off this video with the benefits of learning redstone, because redstone isn't some made-up mechanic in a made-up game. It actually has basis in the real world. Here we have an AND gate, here we have a NOT gate, and here we have an OR gate, and these make up the fundamentals of redstone, but they also make up the fundamentals of computer programming. This is Boolean logic, and for those of you who have ever done even the tiniest bit of computer programming, you will have heard of that one. And I'll be totally honest, I can't think of a more important skill than learning computer programming in the 21st century. I mean, look at the place. Everything requires computer programming. Next up, Minecraft is purely creative. In fact, I would argue it's one of the purest forms of creativity because you're not limited by resources and you're not limited by space. You have infinite space and infinite resources. If you run out of things to do in Minecraft, then that's not the game's fault, that's your fault because you've stopped coming up with things to do. Now obviously I get creative with redstone. For example, this is my Morse code translator machine, which translates letter inputs into their Morse code form. And this is a door that has my face in it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And this is a self-building house. And that's just to name a few examples in this enormous redstone testing world filled to the brim with hundreds upon hundreds of redstone contraptions. But, of course, there are plenty of other ways to get creative in Minecraft. There are plenty of incredible builders in this game that make just amazing structures. I can't even understand how they managed to pull that off. It makes no sense to me because they look fantastic. I want to see them in real life. I do a lot of my work in survival mode in Minecraft, and what that teaches you is the importance of planning ahead. There are so many different stages to think of before you start work on a big project. First thing you have to ask yourself is, how many resources am I going to need for this project? How am I going to get these resources? Can I get these resources? And then you actually have to go out and gather up the resources, because it's always better to start off with the resources that you need to do the project, as opposed to starting the project and then having to go out and gather resources and just keep coming back and forth for the things that you need. Just work out how much you need and then you can build it. Then you need to work out, where on earth am I actually going to build this thing? Obviously, if it's a big project, you're going to need a decent sized space to build it. Am I going to do it underground? Am I going to find a clear spot in the world? Am I going to have to do some terraforming to make space for it? What am I actually going to be doing there? And finally, you have to think to yourself, how is this going to fit in with the other builds that I've got in the area? I don't want this thing to stick out like a sore thumb. So what sort of blocks am I going to use, and how am I going to make it look good? Now, one thing that you'll learn from doing big projects in Minecraft and any projects in real life is that if you skimp on the planning stage, things get ugly really, really fast. It's always good to invest time in planning. But once you've finished the pre-planning stage, actually working on the project itself isn't going to be plain sailing either. It requires a decent chunk of perseverance, patience, and most importantly, hard work. Now this is my ocean base that I've built on the Hermitcraft server. It's one of the many builds that I've constructed on the Hermitcraft server entirely in survival mode, and it required a decent chunk of all three of those things. It required patience because I went through a bunch of different designs before I came up with the ones that you see in front of you, doing all of the building, then the deconstructing, taking it all down, pulling my hair out, trying to work out what on earth I was doing. It also required perseverance because working on projects like the ocean lighting, they definitely get repetitive very fast, but also hard work. It kind of teaches you how it feels to work on a long, large-scale project that's ongoing for a large quantity of time. One thing that I still find pretty crazy is that people watch my videos and they take inspiration from them, be it the builds in the redstone testing world and in the redstone videos, or the builds on the Hermitcraft server. You guys watch those videos and you think to yourself, right, I want to try my best to create something like that, and then you pop into Minecraft and actually work on it yourselves. And recently it's come to my attention that Minecraft is actually probably one of the best games for that. I mean, the barrier for entry is relatively low, the game itself is quite cheap, and you can play it on pretty much any platform, including playing it on the toilet, so that's that all sorted. And the amount of content available for it is just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. There are millions of videos on YouTube, all of Minecraft, so you're not going to struggle to find interesting content there. And the feeling of being inspired off the back of someone else's work is probably one of the most positive and best feelings that you can have. I mean, do you know how many filmmakers I follow on Instagram for the videos on the filming channel? It's hundreds, because I scroll through Instagram, I look at all their work and think to myself, wow, this is amazing. I wonder how they've made it look so good. And then I take a little slice of inspiration from that and try and emulate it in my own work. And then there we go, I've improved. Okay, that's enough of that wishy-washy stuff. Now onto an actual skill that Minecraft teaches you, which is orienteering and following coordinates. I never used to understand following coordinates when I was in maths back in school. It took me so long to understand. But now you see kids doing it on Minecraft servers almost instantly. They say, hey, I'm at minus 200, minus 3000, and then they just navigate to it. They work out exactly where they have to go and just walk towards it. That's pretty mind-blowing to me. And I'm not even mentioning north, east, south, and west. I mean, I never eat shredded wheat. I still have to use that to know where north, east, south, and west are. And don't even get me started with using compasses and using maps. These are all things that I used to struggle with when I was younger, and I feel like I'd be much better at them in my adult life if I had had Minecraft to play with. Now, you should probably take this one with a bit of a pinch of salt, but it teaches you the basics of how certain things in life are made. For example, the fact that you have to heat up sand to turn it into glass, and the fact that if you put 2 sticks at the end of 3 diamonds, then it magically turns into a diamond pickaxe. I mean, this sort of knowledge is invaluable. All jokes aside, this is actually a pretty good one. It teaches you about areas and volumes incredibly quickly. I remember in my old maths class, when we were doing area, we were just ticking things off of grids, and volume, we didn't even do in the real world. I think all of it was theoretical in the notebook. Whereas in Minecraft, area and volume, you deal with all the time. If you need to build a 3x3 area of blocks, you're going to need 9 blocks. You need to build a 4x4 area, you're going to need 16 blocks. If you want to build a 3x3x3 cube, then you're going to need 27 blocks. These are all calculations that you do in your head really quickly. But that's not all. Obviously, you've got perimeters. I'd completely forgotten about perimeters.